This conference will now be recorded.
Today I would like to explain one more topic of second unit, uh, microcontrollers, that is IO ports. IO stands for input and output ports. Port means a place where we can apply the input or where we can receive the output is called as the input and output port, right? So, but this topic is called as the pin diagram and IO port because these IO ports are part of pin diagram. What is pin diagram? So this is the architecture of 8051. So this 8051 architecture is having different registers and memory units and ports, latches and program counting unit and different oscillator pins and some of the control pins. All are packed into a single chip. Okay, this is the single chip microcontroller. This has this functional units. So this is also one diagram, pin diagram of any IC. It looks like this, and it has four types of pins: input pins, output pins, control pins, and power supply pins. Right. So 8051 is also packed into a single chip, and this chip is having 40 pins. Through this 40 pins only, we are going to operate this 8051 block diagram. Okay. So here out of 40 pins, pin number 1 to 8 is called as port 1. Pin number 9 is reset pin. Pin number 10 to pin number 17 is port 3 for SFRs. Pin number 18 and 19 for clock signal. Pin number 20 for ground signal. Pin number 21 to 28 for port 2. Pin number 29 is for program store enables. Pin number 30 is address latch enabled to separate the address and data lines. And pin number 31 is external access. Pin number 32 to 39 is port 0. Pin number 40 is VCC that you can see here. Right, this is called port 0 and this is called port 1 and this is called port 2 and this is called port 3. Port 0 and port 2 are having 80 to 87 and A8 to A15 means 8080 yes sir 8051 is having 16 address lines and 8 data lines. So whenever you want to access the memory through the address lines, then data lines are not functioning. So that's why here to design the IC with less number of pins, we are taking multiplexed address and data lines, that is 80 to 87. Here A stands for address and D stands for data. Right, whereas in the case of 16 address lines, here we have only 7 address lines and higher byte of address lines A8, A15 are available at port 2. Port 1 is only IO port, but port 3 is a special function register port that we will see. Right, so here these two are oscillator pins to generate the clock signals, and here it is called external access, and this is called address latch enable, and this is called program store enable pins. Right, so there are two types of modes in 8051 pin diagram. So in this pin diagram, we are having a single mode, in the single chip mode, all the software and data are internally embedded into the microcontroller. We know that 8051 microcontroller is having on-chip memory of RAM and ROM, and external memory chips are not used. Suppose whatever the ROM is available on the chip, that is enough for you for your operations, then it will be operated in a single chip mode. It means this IO ports will be used as the only IO operations. But the internally available RAM and the internally available ROM ROM is not sufficient. Then the remaining 4 ports are used in different modes of operation for different application. Now, for example, you see here, I am giving for example, this is the mobile phone we are using nowadays, smartphones. And these smartphones today are having internal storage memory, and also we are keeping externally available memory cards. Right. Why these memory cards are we are keeping? Because internally to store more audio files, to store more files, user data files, to store user video files. then we need externally available memory because internal available memory is not sufficient. This is called internal storage memory, and this is called SD card, means this is a synchronous data card, and here it is called as a serial SD card, and this SD card is used for data storage. And how to access this SD card in internal storage with the help of this pin called external access that we will see here. So this is called as the external programming. Why it is FFFFH? Because externally available memory is up to 64 KB, because 16 address lines are there, so 64 KB, and this 64 KB is in terms of FFFH hexadecimal. Right. After filling this 4 KB of internal available memory, that will be switched to this external memory. If we want to use only external memory, then we have to use this pin connected to 0. Then the operations between this SD card, that is memory card to 8051 and 8051 to this external available memory only. Right. See here how memory is categorized and how memory is available. Right. If you see this one, ROM is on-chip ROM is 4 KB, and this is the notation, and it is available. It can be extended up to 64 KB. That is called off-chip memory. Whereas RAM is 128 bytes of memory, and its notation is in hexadecimal 00 to 7FH, and one more 128 byte is for special function registers. So total 256 bytes of memory that is completely on chip, whereas it is also off chip extend up to 64 KB. Why? Because 8051 is Harvard architecture. What's the meaning of Harvard architecture? It has separate RAM memory and separate ROM memory, separate address and data lines for ROM, separate address and data lines for RAM. Whereas in the case of 8086 microprocessor, this RAM and ROM is available at one place, and they are operating by one address line and only one data lines. So here, how to move the external data between code memory to 8051 is using these instructions. MOVC. MOVC stands for move the data from code memory. MOVC a comma at the rate of a plus dptr at the rate indicate address here. Okay, so that we will see later in the instruction set. And here, how to move the data from 8051 to RAM memory. Right, that is using MOVX. MOVX a comma at the rate of VP here. At the rate indicates address here. Right. So 4 ports functionality is port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3. The main functionality is these 4 ports can act as IO port, and port 0 can also be functioned as multiplexed address and data bus. So it has multiplexed as AD0 to AD7, and port 2 is having higher byte of address, and port 3 is SFR register bus. Right. So this is also once again in detail. So this is port 3. So port 3 is having RxD and TXD pins for serial communication, int 0 and int 1 for externally interrupt generations, T0 and T1 for external counting of pulses, WR and read for the external data memory read and write. Okay. So what are the features of 4 ports of 8051? So each port has 8 pins. So thus 4 ports jointly comprise 32 pins. All ports are bidirectional. They are constructed with D-type output latch. They have output drives and input buffers. If you remember these 2 points, we will see once again. We can modify their functions using software and hardware that they connect to. And all the ports are configured as input port on reset. Right. So these are the address locations where these 4 ports are available: port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. So port 0 is available at 80H of SFR, 90H of SFR, like that. These 4 ports are available. And this is the block diagram of port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. Right. These are the block diagrams. And how port 0 is connected. 8 pins are here. Port 0 is port 0.0 to port 0.7. Like this, it has 8 lines internally. Right. See here, port 0 can be used as input and output port or lower order address and data bus AD0 to AD7 from external memory. Now we will see how port 0 is used as input and output operations. Right. So when it used as output operations, here we have to 1. Right. So when we have write it as 1, then what happens? The control signal here must be 0 because it is connected to 2 by 1 mux. So 2 by 1 mux requires one control signal selection line to receive the data. So two input lines and one output is called 2 by 1 mux. So, right. So this is D latch or D flip flap. What is the output of D latch or D flip flap? What happens? Q is equal to 1. Q is equal to D. So whatever the input is applied here, that goes to here when this is active. Right? When this is active, then what happens? Q equal to D. And when Q equal to D, Q is equal to 1, but it is 0 because it is Q bar. Then it goes to mux. Now, even though this address and data is connected here, to Q by 1 mux multiplexer will give the output which is coming from this Q bar because here control signal is 0. Now what happens when it is 0? It will be off, right? Right. So this is 0. So when it is 0, right, what happens? This AND gate gives the 0. 0 and 0 is again 0 here. When it is 0, what happens? Right, this will be off and this will be 1. Let's see. I have given here 1 and that same 1 has been written here. Right? Now it is equal to VCC. The voltage at this point is equal to high impedance state because it is not connected to ground. So then what happens? High impedance state, then VCC goes to this port 0. So now it is when it is 1, it acts as input. Okay. Let's see now how port 0 act as an output port. Right. So to act as an output port here, when it is 1, and it is also act right as 1, and when it is active, then what happens? This is 0, and it is 0. Then this is also 0. Then what happens? It is 1, and it is 1. Right. But in the case of input, then what happens? This input again read by this. Rate pin. So through this line, that is called as the input from external wall to input. Now, if it is not read by this rate pin and it goes to output is called as output. Right. Now, port 0 for external memory. Right. To read the address and data, this control signal must be 1. And here address and data also must be maybe either 0 or 1. Right. When it is 0, it will be 1. So this 1 goes to here. Then no, there is no signal from this one. Right. Now what happens? When it is 1, the address or data will be active and then 1 will be received by this one. And here it is 1 means short circuited. Then this will be connected to ground means output is 0. So see here this address is 0 here. This also 0. Like that for 8 bits, 8 latches are available. So output is 8 zeros. Understood? Right now port 1. So port 1 features is mainly the function of port 1 is only for IO port. So here you can see that. Right. So basically every port is having D latch output drivers are buffers and input buffers. Like these are the input buffers and this is called as output driver. So now how to write the data to port pin, here you can understand. Now I want to write for port 1000. This is called reading data from external board. Now you see, suppose port P100 means assume that this is available on the chip itself, that is internal CPU bus. For example, I want to read the data from ROM memory. Then what happens? This 0 is 8, 8 latches. So I am taking, for example, here 1 latch. So it is 0. The operation of D flip flop is Q equal to D. So this q equal to image is also 0. When it is 0, this will be 0 bar. 0 bar means 1. 1 means short circuited. Short circuited means it will be connected to ground, so output is 0. See here, whatever input I am taking, that goes to here, this pin. Right. See, my pin P1 is 0 or not. So P1.0 to P1.0, P1.0 to P1.7, same operation. So that is all zeros. So now P1 becomes 0. Now how to execute this one? P1, move P1 comma hash F1, since the place of 0 if you take it as 1. So this is also 1. It is 1. It is 0. 0 bar means 1 bar means 0. 0 means the transistor will be off. When it is off, it will be VCC will be connected to output and this will become 1. See, I have written 1 and P1.0 to P1.7 all are ones. So all ones have written into P1. Now how to execute this instruction when my P1 is having all ones. Now how I can read the data from port to internal accumulator register. Here it goes to internal accumulator register. Now assume that here again I want to first I want to write some data onto port. Yes, yeah, FFHC 1. Right, 1 goes to here. 1 bar is 0. 0 bar 0 means the transistor is off and it is 1. So P1.0 to P1.7 all are 1. So means this instruction has been executed. Now how to export this move A comma P1 means P1 go data goes to A. How it goes to data into A? Through this line or through this buffer. This is connected to your accumulator or address or data bus. What happens? These all ones are connected. 8 lines are there here, and these 8 lines are connected to our accumulator, and this accumulator is filled by 8 ones. Like that, here we can read the data 0 or 1. You will see, for example, right. So this is the internal structure of port 1. So all ports are bidirectional. You can write the data from 8051 to outside or outside to 8051. So this is called output driver and this is called D latch. So this diagram is the port 1 architecture and it has two buffers, tri-state buffers. TB stands for tri-state buffers. One is to read the latch data from latch and one is to read the data from the pin. So this is called pin. Now see here how to read the data to port 2. Right, move 1 comma hash 00. Right, internal CPU bus 2. Right. So here clock must be applied. CLC means clock must be applied. So day, See, when clock is applied, by default, 0 goes to Q equal to D. We all know that according to digital. See, how port 2, like port 2 has input port, output port, and external memory access. This port 2 is same as port 0, but the difference here is port 0 is having both address and data bus line, and whereas in the case of port 2 we are having only higher byte of address, so we are having only here address bus, and this is the 2 by 1 bus here. So this is one line and this is one more line, two are inputs, and this is the control line or selection line. It can select this memory or it can select this input from this internally available address bus. Okay, so that is the only difference between port 0 and port 2. And these are the port 3 pins. 8051 pin diagram is also having two pins for system clock, right? That is 18th pin and 19th pin, and this is the oscillator. You know that oscillator is basically analog circuit. That's why it is outside of the chip. So this oscillator output is again connected to internal clock generator through the pins, two pins 18th and 19th, and this clock generator here you can see that. So this is the crystal oscillator frequency, and that goes to this is the internal clock generator. Here this is divided by 12. Why it is divided by 12? Here if you see that it has a 12 machine cycle, sorry, 12 clock pulses here. So 12 clock pulses is equal to one mission cycle, and for execution of one instruction we need more than one mission cycle also, right? What is instruction cycle? Fetching, decoding, and execution requires here two mission cycles, here one mission cycle, and here four mission cycles. That is what we call the instruction cycle, because these are called as instructions and these are called as operands. To execute this instruction we need one mission cycle. To execute this instruction we need two mission cycle, and to execute this instruction we need four mission cycles. That is what we call the instruction cycle. So here they are divided by 12, and then it will be connected to one controls input C by T bar. If this is connected to this part, it acts as a timer, and if this switch is connected to this point, it acts as a counter. What is the difference between timer and counter? If this block is designed to count the internal circuitry timing pulses, it is called as counter. If it is designed to count the external, if the signal is coming from the external environment, then if you need to count the number of pulses, then the C by T bar will act as a counter. Otherwise, it is equal to timer circuit. So this timer circuit are two types here: timer 0 and timer 1. And so those circuits can be operated by using this instruction time, say input 12 by crystal frequency. Right, so our oscillator is operating at 11.0590 megahertz. Why it is operating, that we will see in the coming classes, because we have to explain serial communication. So that serial communication ports needs some baud rate and bit rate. So to meet the equal bit rate or baud rate, they have designed 11.0592 megahertz. If it is 12 megahertz, it is not possible to generate the equal baud rates. So this is the reset pin. So reset pin may be power on reset pin or maybe manual reset pin. So power on reset pin means when you switch on, automatically this reset will be high, and all the pins, all the registers must be reset to either 000 or the predefined value. Suppose you take stack pointer or stack register, The stack pointer stack register is by default starting at 07 address location, not 00H. Right, so that's why it is called as the power on reset or manual reset. You can reset the system with the help of this reset button also. That is what we call the reset key. Right. EA pin stands for external access of RAM. And if the CI is 0, then the system came to know that external memory is ready to receive. If the CI is equal to 1, do not allow the data from the external memory. Then when it is EA equal to 0 or EA equal to 1, that this pin only is not sufficient to read the data or to write the data, then we have one more pin that is called PSEN, program store enable. If this PSEN is 0, it allows to store or write the data bytes of data from external memory. Then if PSE is 1, then it comes to know that EA is not ready. Right. Then ALE stands for address latch enable. Address latch enable means if ALE pin is 0, data bus access. If ALE equal to 1, address bus, the same multiplex address and data bus lines will be separated by making this pin as either 0 or 1. Right. Thank you. If you have any doubt, please ask me.